Yes, what is it what you're doing today?
Today we're stripping down the passenger side hub to do the wheel bearings, because the fact that the driver side hub, the bearings were pretty shot, stands to reason passenger side hub's going to have done the same mileage, therefore even if it's not grumbling now, if it was to start to grumble while we're on holiday, that kind of messes up the holiday. So it's easier to get it sorted now as get it sorted later. So at the moment I'm just tweaking off the wheel nuts ready for lifting off the wheel. So we've got a jack underneath, but naturally the weight's still under the wheel to allow me to just bake the nuts. That one went good. Right. Next thing is to start jacking him up this stuff up. Get the dust cover off. I know some people don't put these back on after, but that's false economy. It's there for a reason. The reason being keeps everything out of your lovely, lovely bearings. It can take a little bit of shifting because they're nice and tight. Because if you were slack, they would fall out. Start to move, they tend to move pretty good. It's just getting that initial movement. Actually, I should have a straight one. Should have a straight one. I did use a straight one on the other side, so I must have it somewhere. Probably in the bottom of the box. Slowly coming. It always comes slowly. Yeah, that's tight to come. See if I can't find a straight one. That would speed the job up. Where that's gone, we'll have to use this instead. Move, note's changed. always a bit worrying when there's grease on that, because that should be dry. So we've got the bearing that's got hot at some point started to leach its grease out. Slowly and steadily. And I dare say everyone else has noticed. Oh, it is turned in it now. I was just going to say there's a chance that the disc won't turn the hub because we're putting alloys on, you haven't got your locators. With the one we have, because you can't have them on with the alloys because the wheel doesn't have the holes for them. Unlike the original factory fitted steel wheels, which have, because locators work on two things: they keep the disc and hub together, and they actually allow you to locate the steel wheels for putting the bolts in. But you don't need that with the alloys because you would have to have nasty looking holes in your alloys, and this does not want to go.
That's taken ages to come off.
Yeah, it's probably never been off in its life.
Seems to be taking longer to come off than the other one did.
Yeah. Like I say, the worry with this one is this one's actually wet with grease. And there shouldn't be any grease at this end. So I'm wondering if at some point this bearing's got hot. And that's caused the grease to come out of the bearing a bit. Does help if it with the right end of the hammer. This is being stubborn. Stubbornitis. That's got too much of them wanting it to make contact. It's a coming. There's a lot of corrosion in there. That's why. Yep, it's coming now. It's quite badly corroded in there, which is never a good sign. Why have we got that much corrosion in there? Shouldn't be. There's no grease in there, so I'm not understanding grease on the outside of that, because that's bone dry. There's no grease in there, that's absolutely bone dry. So why is the grease on the outside? hey ho, who knows? Someone obviously thought it was a good idea. Right, hopefully. In the proverbial. Knock the tabs out. These are basically the tabs that lock the nut to the shaft, which is particularly helpful on the passenger side because the wheel goes that way, the tightness is that way, so in effect, if that wanted to, like it shouldn't do because oops, we're back to the same problem again. In theory, the hub and that should turn at the same speed, but the fact that that's the undoing, I suppose worst case scenario, if you hadn't originally got the correct torque on, differences between wheel speed and shaft speed, so in other words, if you like took your foot off the accelerator, naturally you're going to get a certain amount of engine braking, and in theory that could actually warp that nut. Doesn't happen often, in fact, if at all, but it's there for a purpose, and that purpose is so it doesn't undo itself. That is on the other side, but the other side, because it's flip image, the actual rotation of the wheel is actually trying to tighten the nut up even more. So yeah. So we have got the front of all the brakes are going to come off. 1, 2, 3, 4. Track with end. We're going to crack that off before we actually split it. Crack that the minimum amount possible. Split it. Take the old one off. Put new one on ready. Might actually just sit it in there so as we can tighten the nut up. We will be getting it tracked to be sure, but basic settings, you know, if it's the same setting going back on as it is coming off, you're going to be pretty close. So that's what we're going to do with that. And then we've also got the bottom ball joint that we're going to replace as a matter of course, because we're going to be pulling that apart. The bearing bottom ball joint will be done at home after messing around with the pressing out the old ones, pressing the new ones, and then it will come back here, be sat onto the swinging arm, lower arm, track with end in there, the good old MF with its 41 millimeter socket on there, get the 450 to 500 Newton torque onto that nut, knock these in, calipers on, and away we go. Oh, that's interesting. We have not got the brake pad wear indicator working this side. That is the wire that's supposed to connect to it. The other side's got it coupled up. This one, either the thing's rotted off, which could happen, or whoever's fitted these pads, the pads don't have the indicator, so they've just gone as they do. Right, so we will now paddle and do. Oh yeah, we're also going to be these bush.
What have you done with the sun?
I know. State of these bushings. I'm glad I got new ones. Passenger side's definitely got to have a bit of welding round here, so I'll have to do that this winter. Take it up hours. I started to jack on the jacking point and I heard creak, 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 creak. Like, no, not going no further.
That'll do.
So under the chassis rail on the cross beam, and then put the good old axle stand under the main bushing. So it's there.
Have you somewhere where you can put it up on a ramp type thing or whatever? Just do it underneath.
No, I'll just have to
Do it underneath.
do it underneath, yeah, because I've got to take the entire bumper off, because on that front corner driver's side where the chassis arm comes down, the road face is pretty soft. The top side's perfect, the road face. So it's like bit of plate, knock it into shape. Zzz, and you're sharp view. Stick. Where's my breaker? Won't need the MF for that, but we will need the breaker. Okay, like I say, we will get this trapper end loosened up. And I will get the jolly machine to undo that. Get the old
Jenny
lash on
running.
it. Hey?
What, the Jenny?
No. Get the let's do the usual trick for this. Good tip. If nuts and bolts start to go tight, just don't keep winding on. Take them back a bit. To your favourite lube. Either W or one of those type of things. Where I can find it.
That's the generator that uses.
Where's it gone? It was hiding. So, white brush. The old lube. What's this one? Remember this one works. I love these new ones. These all new singing, dancing cones that don't like you using them. That's it. There we go. And then it should spin off a bit easier. If it's needed, if it goes tight again, just take it back again. This one's actually coming okay.
Well, I haven't touched it. I've been in it.
Saying that, it's now just decided it's going to go tight again, so we will wind it back again. So what you got to remember is a lot of these actually nylon type bolts. B, it's hard.
And yet when I turned the engine on the other day,
Tons of those muck, water, you name it. So it is going to be happy to stay on and not so happy to come off. That's a good sign. Hopefully one-handed. I say, we're now going to get ready to crack that nut just enough to loosen the... So again, wire brush. These are ideal because you can get in a lot of tight spaces. Good old bit of spray. Like I say, we're replacing these bushings here. These are in a lot worse condition than the other side were. These are nicely cracked and perished. But again, expected. This is the side that everything gets at as you're driving down the road. This is the gutter side. And actually, if you're in one of the European countries, it'll be that side. And of course, as well, European countries, and we've also got things like the United States. Anyone that drives on the right hand side of the road, it'll be that side that gets all the gunge. And anyone like us in the UK, there you go, that's popped. Anyone like in the UK that drives on the left, it'll be this side that gets gunged up. Right, we're not worried about the bellows on this because we're replacing it. So, yeah, that's moving nicely. So, that's now started to bite, so therefore the joint will pop any second now, he says. As you notice, I like to be at the same angle as me hitting. Yep, that's starting to lift. So, once it gets to the point, and there it goes. So basically, as we explained last time, in fact I'll take that off to show you better. At the same time we can get the new one out the cab. Right. Take that off. Ooh, nice and shiny. Right, so basically most ball joints have a taper on the shaft. Likewise, cast in there, tapered, two pulled together by the bolt or the nut, and that's what actually, it's basically a friction fit. It's not going to go anywhere in a hurry.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah.
There's always something, isn't there?
Oh yeah. As you can see, the fact that it's shiny just shows how tight a fit that is, because water, etc., etc., hasn't got into there. Otherwise, that'd be rusty. So. That's got a little bit of life in it, but if you're ripping the hub off, why not just replace bits? They're not expensive. And I don't see the point in doing half a job. You're going to do it properly. Chocolate end. There's one in there, just purely stop the bag blowing away. This one, unlike the old one, has got a hex fitting. So you can put your Allen key in there because ideally you don't want to be turning all of this while you're trying to fit it. So that's protective cap for the boot. Take that off. As we're pulling everything apart again, I may well put that back on just to protect the boot, because until we've resurfaced this unit, what's the point in? Right, so all I'm going to do is just put that nut back up. If we do it now, we can't forget it. The last thing you want is your trapwood end rattling around loose. So we're just purely just nipping that up. And the fact that we've not moved the hub at all, again, says to me we can't be that far off the original setting. This is a wonderful spanner, but it's also a weird, wonderful spanner. So that is now on there. We will put that on and the nut on, just purely so as we can't do any damage to in case we get a bit crazy with the hammers or whatever. So, caliper to come off, which will then allow us to take the disc off. Whether these are original discs, I don't know, but they are still in good condition. Wear is minimal. We haven't got a great big ridge built up here, because basically the pads are breaking from there to there, so you get this outer ridge and this slight inner ridge. The fact that and that are marginally close, because you've got to think about it, this edge rusts. Rust tends to poke out a bit anyway. I would say that those discs are still in pretty good nick. I could measure them and compare them to the tolerances that I'm sure Fiat have laid down, but I would say, yeah, we're not having any issues. There's nothing missing out of them. There's no chunks missing out. They're not paper thin. Like I say, the actual wear ridge is negligible, so we're going to leave those for now. It's a job we can do at some point, but we don't need to be rushing into it, so we're not going to rush into it. Right, I now need to go and get my Allen bolt to drop off the caliper. In fact, what I'll do, I'll do the same as I did on the other side. I'll actually take the caliper off the carrier and then take the carrier off, because on the other side, if you remember, I cleaned this all up and I put some blue Amorite on, just so that it looks a little bit fancy. It doesn't serve any real purpose, but it keeps everyone happy. And I think Tiffany likes to see things looking a bit jolted up, so keep Tiffany happy. And it means that I get to drive without any hassle. Now I can't find my ratchet.
I was going to say, did you put it in there?
It is underneath. So, as per most calipers, this is using the sliding pin. We now need to stop bolt turning. Where's all my spanners? That was good. That was a good guess. So basically, there's a pin here that goes inside this housing. As the pads wear, it allows the caliper to float backwards and forwards. So, taking brakes on and off, brakes wearing, that sort of thing. You've got to find either some wire or a big zippy tie to suspend the caliper up here on the spring, because we don't want to find that we're swinging off the pipes. That never does the pipes any good. Again, another thing that can happen is I had to actually manually tap that socket onto the bolt, not because the bolt is a different size, but purely because rust creates an additional layer. So what would be a 13, and it is a 13, becomes a 13 and a doddy bit. It's that doddy bit that your socket or your spanner might go, oh, actually you don't fit me. Yes you do. You just need a little doddy to get it going. One zip tie, which will hopefully be more than long enough to suspend the caliper. First off, we will actually try to retract the pad slightly. It's always helpful. Pad retracting tool, commonly called a bloody big spanner. What's happened here is the piece that should connect to that, someone has kindly mauled the heck out of it, and it was literally just floating in the caliper, which is never a good idea. Surprised we didn't hear it as we were driving along and braking, but hey ho. So now the caliper's sufficiently slackened up that we can work it off. Get the old zip tie. We will temporarily just stick it back in there because we need to undo those carriers which are on that bolt. So again, we are going to get going there. Give a bit of a clean up the threads on the front, because that's what's going to hold us up. As you can see, they are totally coated. Can't even tell that there's threads there, but you soon will when we start taking the rubbish off. Get the good old spray, give it a good old lift. I might go and get my little ACAT gun for that. See if the ACAT gun looks ever play. So we are on quite a decent sized socket. We are looking at a 24. Right, let's go and play with the ACAT gun. I'll go and fetch it.
Well, Cressy's gone get some more tools. Tiffany would like you to get a card come up.
What am I looking at for you? unbreakable. And of course the ACAT gun will say, well, I'll loosen that up for you. That's why you can undo it. And that'll go, yeah, whatever. I didn't loosen that one up then. Different angle. Yep, that's it. Right, so we'll take these two out because all these hoses are on a plate. So we can't put the caliper up out the way without taking those two off. So again, and the extra bit of soap wasn't there. Again, feeling for that to go excessively tight, which it isn't at the moment. If it was to do so, we'd wind it back in, clean it up a bit more, spray a bit more lube on it, just to ensure that we're keeping the threads in good nick. Because at this stage, the last thing we want is to strip any threads off. Because if we strip threads in that, we've got to get a whole new hub assembly. Apart from anything else, it'd probably be a waiting game. Right, that one is actually saying, no, I'm not happy. So we will take it back. I'll see why it's not happy. There's junk in the threads. Clean. Needs to be turn it just slightly so that you get it all faces. Again, you can see the amount of junk coming out of that. And now it's a bit happier. Not happy enough yet. So we will say, yes, the hub is moving a lot. That's because trap and end isn't in, but that's not an issue for me. If it was, I would pop the trap and end in just to act on it. But it's not doing any harm. I'm not putting anything out of place. I'm not overstretching any pipes or cables. In fact, it's giving me free range movement to get the best angles for things. Back in again, so I can actually afford to turn that slightly. I'm not overturning the CV, in case anyone's worrying. I've got my eye on that, and we're not overturning it. Just going to take it back in one more time. Still not quite happy at that very end. And like I say, the game is to do it safely, do it cleanly, and avoid ruining any threads. Because as you can imagine, exposed threads get rusty. And actually, the last few threads are quite messy, so the more we can clean it, the more we can lube it, the less chance we're going to have of actually doing any great damage. See, that's a lot happier now. We've got to the previous tight point and it's still going. It's now actually within the casting threads. I will just spray just to keep a bit of lube in there, and that I'm actually checking those threads as the bolt comes out of it. First sign of damage, I'd be winding it back in and again dressing it in the hope of saving those threads. Never be afraid to whack the lube in just to keep everything sweet. And as you can see, that's now coming out quite nicely. Okay, we've now got the carrier plate for the hydraulic hoses free. We will now pop him up there, find out that that's now upside down. Oops, I know I've pulled it too far. The caliper safely out the way, and it's not going to interfere anything, it's not going to get hurt itself. I have forgotten to, oh no I haven't done there. Thought I've forgotten to bring me Allen's down. So these are Allen sockets, and again we have got to find the one that actually does fit, which should be a 14. Hey, first grab, first chance. Again, it is going to say, nah, that don't fit. You've got the wrong one, buddy. You need a 13 point something. No, you don't. There's a 14. It's just that it's got looking stuff in it. Bit of lube, gentle tap. It's on its way. Again, with the power lifting. Just give it a little tap. Just get the old brush in there just to clean some of the muck out. We want that to go in as much as possible. Further it in, more leverage we can put on it without ripping anything to pieces. Different tone, that says it's bottomed out. I don't think lots of mechanical and engineering stuff. If you know what it's supposed to sound like when it's starting to play the game you want it to play, you can usually go off of that. Metal has a nice habit of letting you know what it's thinking. We'll just pop it into the top one while we're here. Lined up so you're actually driving it into the gap it's supposed to be in and not trying to create a gap that it doesn't like. In this case we're going to put a short extension on because we're right by the bottom of the hub carrier. Again, different note, that tells me we are where we need to be. Ah, here he is. I will be cleaning these up and lubing them before they go back in, because they're quite stuck in the carriers. Hopefully with this particular type, there's that little middle pocket that you can do that to. Plenty of meat on them. So either hasn't used much in the way of brakes, or it has actually been serviced on the brakes. I think the previous owners did look after it well. Just as with anything that gets old, stuff starts to need doing, which might be why they forked it in. It might be that they got past the stage where they wanted to motorhome. They might have forked it in for another one. Or gone, well, actually, we've had our time. Someone else can enjoy it.
Which we'll be trading in this in a few years. When you retire, because we'll be travelling more, so...
Yes, well, we can afford it, yeah.
If we can afford it, we'll be getting another one.
That's the biggie. If we can afford it. Not sure what they allow you to have loan-wise when you only got your pension coming in, but we'll have to see. Again, this one is shimmed with one shim, which I'll show you the shim shortly. So basically, shims are, for those that don't know, shims are fine measured pieces of metal. That's a shim. They can be used in various things, setting up caliper distances. You can have shims in the internals of your car engine. You can have shims in the internal of things like gearboxes. Basically, a shim is a set measurement. You can get them finer, you can get them wider. And always, well, I'm not sure what the metric current is. I still work in thou. There'll be a set degree of thou, which is thousandths of an inch. And a shim's purpose is to set tolerances that otherwise you couldn't set purely by manufacturing. The prime example is this. This is a cast hub. Take the disc off. This is a cast hub. Yes, within a certain tolerance, you know the depth and all the rest of it. But because it's a cast hub, if for whatever reason the casting is slightly thicker, slightly thinner, then that will change the offset for the caliper carrier, which then offsets the caliper. If this is set wrong, then one of these faces could rub the disc, which is never a good idea. In some vehicles where the type of caliper is fitted, it would actually offset the caliper itself, which could lead to either the caliper rubbing on the disc or the caliper actually applying different pressures either side of the actual disc. So, wonderful little shim, just goes on there, this fits onto it, gets bolted up, and that makes this true to the middle of the disc, will run in the middle of there. So that's going to go home with us, get scrubbed up, painted. I'll put the shim into the cab when we're ready to start shifting everything. Again, this plate, we will take that off. It's got to come off anyway, but we will take that off, clean that up, and again, that can have a lick of paint. Use the old extension to get past the caliper, well, past the hub I should say. And this is where you go, oh, that's really rusty. It's now no longer a 13. Oh dear, that won't come off. Ordinarily, that would be the answer. But I have a magic set of tools which are designed to take nuts and bolts off that have lost their edges. So basically, all I need to do is find what size. Nope, so it'd be a 4. I'm not actually sure what. Right, we do have a 5. I'm not actually sure what the referencing is, but basically that is fitting on there, and that's the one bit I need. That one, tapping stick. Make sure it's fully on. And I need an adapter. Actually, let's go nearer by. We don't want to be miles and miles and miles away. In theory, if I can get that over there, that then undoes that bolt. And it clearly says on there 5 hash 13 mil. So 5 hash fits a 13 mil, and 1 13 mil that said I'm not coming off has now come off. Now the bottom of this plate is held on by that ball joint at the bottom, so I'm not going to worry too much about that at this precise moment. Before I finish ripping that off, the biggie there is him. How are you going to get that off? Well, it involves putting the wheel back on. Move those all out the way, they will all go into the cab. I will put my magic socket back in there so we don't lose him. Not quite sure what this is supposed to be for, but hey ho, as long as the bits that I want to use work. Right, so we now ideally, just so we're not flying everywhere when I put the MF on, because we're going to use a good bit of force, we will turn that to fit in there. Not going to push it in, all we're going to do is just spin the nut on so it can't jump out. So we're going to move everything out the way, including that, including those, including that. Oh, that can go there, that can go, that can go. So we go back to the wheel. Wheel out. We will take those plastic nut covers off. They can also go into the van. I'll put them in there for now, but they will be going into the front. We need 3 of the bolts. 1, 2, 3. Clear everything out of the way, including the miserable torque, who's decided he's not going to play today. And all we're really going to do here is just need enough force, which will be dealt by the wheel touching the ground, just enough for us that, surprise, surprise, the vehicle settled, or rather the jack has settled. Which is the thing with hydraulic jacks. So I will put that like that. I will go under here. And again, I'll just poke him up a bit. Until we're high enough to set the wheel back onto the hub. Like I know we are missing the disc. I could put the disc in place, but we don't really need to. Oh, one thing we do need to do, I nearly forgot, is take the centre cap out. Otherwise, how am I going to get to that part? Like I say, I'm not going to be putting the full vehicle weight onto this. That would be a bit risky. What I want to do is just get enough pressure to stop the hub turning while we crack that knot. At the moment we're still fighting there. Like I say, this vehicle, even on one corner, is potentially right on the limits for the jack, which is probably why it's creeping down. It's not at the point that it's blowing the safety, but it is at the point that it's saying I'm not happy with this. I'm going to let you know I'm not happy with it because I'm going to slowly bleed pressure off. So all we are doing at the moment, as I said, is we are putting that in place. Now we're going to get the big MF. Because we're undoing, we need to pull the shaft out, knock it through, put it on there, and that has now reversed which direction it's going. So in theory, it is going to be going down bank, and we need to get a bit of pressure on that tyre. So back under here, and we will hopefully. That's enough. As we can. No, it's not enough. So I have got to take it up. I'm going to have to actually go far enough up I can get the actual stand out. I suppose I could have shoved one of the chocks under it. But we will go with what we got. I don't really want to pull everything back out of that. Right, so we just need a little bit more room. Get that stand out. The fact that that's fighting to jack says we are on the limits. Never leave anything under your vehicle, because you can guarantee if you get a failure of the jack or something, the bit you've left underneath will be punching its way through something you don't really want it punching its way through. Right, So in theory, I've got enough loading on there. Make sure it's well onto the nut. And yeah, we are still light. So we will let a little bit more out. Like I say, I do not want to put the full weight of the vehicle onto that wheel, but I want enough weight that we are able to get this to come off. Oh, well, that worked well. The adapter's actually snapped.
On MF.
No. MF runs big, so that's an adapter to run to that size. The adapter sheared.
Oh.
So, hopefully I've got another one. I usually have a second. So I just need to see where it is. If not, there's one in. In fact, I'll get the one out of this kit. Just a quick test. Actually, no. I won't have one. I won't have one. I'll have ones that go from 1/2 inch to 1/4, 3/8. That I think is an inch. We have to get one. I haven't got a spare one of those.
Oh.
Because that's a specialist one, because it's going from that size to that size. That's an inch down to 1/2 inch. So we are at the point that unless the ACAC gun with a fresh battery can take that out, we need to get another one of them next time on the Ramsey. In fact, I'll probably get a couple of them. Let me put another battery on the ACAC. I have got 2 batteries in there as well, so hopefully that's charged up. I did charge them all if I remember rightly.
And with it being a Sunday, everywhere is closed at Ramsey.
That's battery on flat. It's great. You've got a function switch. But you can't see what it's saying. So I need to set that to large. How did you make it do it? I can't see. another inch to half inch. Hopefully I can get that from Ramsey. Even if they have to order it in, hopefully they can get them. Otherwise it's when I'm next in Douglas going to Zenith. Get one off Zenith. So we might not be doing this today. We won't be doing this today because that ain't going nowhere with this.
Worked.
No. Which was the first one, that one? Not as that one's run out yet, but just to give it a...
Is it worth asking that man over there if he's got?
He's an electrician, Julie.
Oh.
Not many people will have one of those. They're not your run of the mill. It's only idiots like me that have heavy duty gear that have one. Because my inch to half inch adapter for the big MF was sheared, plan now is potentially to reassemble everything. First thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the disc back on the hub, wheel on the hub, that way we can actually get the wheel nipped up tight, because it'll have the thickness of the hub off the disc. Just thinking of it, maybe not going to do it. Yes, just get it to lean against there.
Stay.
And then hopefully what we can do off of that is, let's put that bolt back in just to hold that in place.
When do we put the brakes and the other thing back in?
Once I've checked this, because what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to test that bearing Because if the bearing at the moment is sweet, then we can leave it for the time being, and it can be a later on job once I know I've got out of at least one more of those adapters. Because, like you say, we're only 3 weeks off of France, so we do not want this on actual stands disassembled. Why is that not going on there? With fronts rattling up rather fast. So what I'd rather do is test the bearing. If the bearing passes the test, then it's not urgent. It might be that that far side, for whatever reason, had been given a rough ride, which can happen. You know, paints can sometimes get knocked about. Like I say, it will have, because we've got to incorporate having the tracking done before we go, because if we're driving away from Haitian to Folkestone, we do not need the tracking to be out. We will have no tyres left, and considering the price of the tyres and the fact that they are nice and new, we don't
What
need
was it, £1,000?
Yeah, it worked out £1,000 for all four. So the last thing we want to do is chew them up.
They are Michelin class climate camping ones. As you can see. You can read that okay?
This is the disadvantage of not having those pegs. Is that you've got to try and hold everything in place. Put the ropes in. We use our legs. Good bit of leg muscle. Get one to thread. Two to thread. Where's me wheel spanner, Julie? Can you see it anyway?
Maybe it's chunks that lot there.
I don't know.
What span is that? The heavy duty one.
No, it's a two-ended socket.
Oh, did you put it back in there?
No, it doesn't go in there. It's off the...
Oh, you put something in your little box. Could you
No,
put
it's this.
Oh, is that one it?
Right.
I was looking for an actual spanner.
No, it's a socket.
Oh.
We found it. That's amazing. Just for quickness. is the wheel firm. So that is hopefully that trapper end. Yes it is, because there's way too much room for it to be wheel bearing. That wheel bearing is actually solid. Actually no, there's movement in it. That wheel bearing has got movement in it. Is it that, or is it? No, that has definitely got movement in it.
So we've got to get another wheel bearing.
No, we've got the new wheel bearing. We can't do anything because of that.
No.
Yeah, there's definitely play in that wheel bearing. As I said earlier, if one's gone, the other one's normally close behind. That has definitely got play in it. But, well, at least in one new one of that, we can't do anything. So, much as I hate to, on the off chance that we struggle and end up doing the old online auction site with the buy it now part, I'm going to have to reassemble all this. Just trying to make sure that is definitely wheel bearing. Not that the
You can place it, and it also no, but at least it lowers your insurance as well.
yeah, that is wheel bearing. What I'm doing now is I'm putting my fingers on the disc.
Can you go out that way, or?
I don't know if you've got his car there, but you can drive that way anyway.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
The
Okay,
reason
I'll
I've got
see
my
you later.
fingers on the disc is that's a known that is trapped between the hub and the wheel. So if it was that the wheel was loose, then I would not feel the disc move. But I know the wheel isn't loose because as you just seen, we've given it a quick zap with the app gun. So yeah, we have definitely got up-down play. Can't really do side to side because that trapper end's not fitted in. It will be soon, but yeah, we have got play in that bearing. The only thing we know is the bearing nut didn't move before the adapter sheared, so we know we haven't loosened it. Because if we had loosened it, the ACAT gun would have took the nut off. We also had the ACAT gun going the other way in case it was left hand thread, and it didn't move then. And the punch marks are in exactly the same place, so we know we haven't loosened that nut, so therefore we haven't loosened the bearings. So yeah, the bearing is what it is. There's play in it, but to protect ourselves for now, we've got no option but to reassemble everything, because if we can't get an inch to half-inch adapter, like I say, ideally I will get a couple of them, we can't do the job. So yeah, so we will have the wheel off and we'll put it back together. So let's do a bit of reassembly work. So First things first, carrier. Let's give it a quick scrub. Where did I put my... Clean up. Doesn't hurt to clean top of it. Would have been nice to have been able to paint it up, but seems we're where we are. Just a quick clean, particularly where the pads are sitting. I'm hoping I've brought the copper slip. If not, it'll have to be grease. I would prefer the copper slip. I'm pretty sure I've brought the copper slip. Okay, so that's now ready. That is those 14s. We'll just give them a tap, get any crud out of them. And shim. As I said before, that shim is going to set where this sits. If I put it the right way down, would be even better. And yes, we're still trying to get to the bottom of what's going on my lungs. Going for test after test. They are sure something isn't right, but as of yet they haven't been able to decide what. The only thing they have been able to decide is, as far as the last set of tests go, I'm not asthmatic, and the reason that they are pretty sure that is because one of the tests was to actually flood my lungs with salbutamol, which for those that don't know is one of the commonly used asthma medications. Right, just to stop this slowing me down, because it's kicking out while I'm trying to put that carrier in, and put a couple of the nuts in to keep it somewhere near where it should be. So, like I say, one of the tests was to flood my lungs with salbutamol, give me 15 minutes for it to take maximum effect, and then run a set of tests that they ran before flooding me with salbutamol, which then compare the results. And if it was asthma, then my results would be much better on the salbutamol. However, me being me, there was only a 5% difference, which means asthma is not likely to be the cause. So they are still wondering what to do and what to try next. We've had CT with contrast, we've had chest x-rays, we've had the same sort of tests but less of. So we've had now more of the tests with extras, and we don't know. And that's the frustrating part about it. Unfortunately, through my working life, I've been exposed to various things such as asbestos, maybe from the breaks when back in the day asbestos was the main sort of the main sort of component in brake pads and brake shoes. Nowadays I believe it's copper. I've also worked with asbestos sheeting, which is never a good thing. But like a lot of people that have worked with asbestos sheeting, you're always told that, oh, it's the what's it version, which isn't the dangerous version. Yeah, but I've also been sort of in farm environments where there's been a lot of the dusts that farmers tend to then get the diagnosis of farmer's lung from. Basically, throughout my working life, I've been exposed to quite a lot of stuff, various sort of chemicals that potentially were breathable in when being used. Like I say, this isn't a sob story, so please don't take it as a sob story. It's just that we're trying to figure out why climbing a flight of stairs is like me doing a marathon. I do just carry on with life because you have to, because if you let everything get you down, you would just curl up in a ball and be about as much use as a chocolate fire guard. But it would be nice to have a name put to it, and hopefully some sort of method of treatment, so that at least I could have an idea that things are going to sort of stay relatively stable or whatever. Because I'm only 4 years off fully retiring from my job, and our plans involve lots and lots and lots of journeys in Tiffani's camper, so we can bring you lots of content of the wonderful places we go to. So I would of course like to be able to carry on doing that for a long time. So yeah, just fastening the hub, the carrier back on for the caliper. I will go and check in the car in a minute if I have remembered to put the copper slip in. If I haven't, then it's not because I have forgot to put it in, it's because I was not expecting to have to be putting this all back together at the same day that we were originally taking it apart. I am going to tighten that up because it's doing my boxing. And it is a 19, and I should have, in of course, next, yeah, so I know it's a 19, so I'll get 19 ring, and I also need my Allen keys. One 19 ring, one Allen key set. This weekend's been an odd weekend. It's only really been a one-day weekend for me because I was on a course to do my work yesterday, which took the entire day up, but was an enjoyable course. But like I say, just meant that I've had a one-day weekend. So things like this I've had to take a bit of a back seat for a day. So what we're doing here is we're winding those two papers together, so the track rod end, or steering control end if you want to call it that, is seated, and therefore is set up. We will get in touch with Tyre Man in Ramsey, who does all our tyre work and who does tracking for us, and get it booked in to have the tracking set. Like I say, hopefully we're not that far off. I've got a hair in the eye somewhere. We're not that far off because we've basically put the new ones exactly where the old ones were, so we should be good. But having it confirmed and any minor changes, because there's always a possibility of one thread off or manufacturing tolerances are slightly different, and the last thing we want is to be ripping up some very nice expensive newish tyres before their time. Like I say, we've got journey from here down to Douglas for the ferry, which okay isn't a big journey, I mean about 12-15 miles. But then when we get to the other side, when we get to Heysham, we've got to drive all the way from Heysham to Folkestone, which is literally cross country and down. Last time I did that sort of mileage was when I was in the UK driving lorries. So what we're hoping is that we can do it in moderate stages, because basically we are taking, is it an early morning ferry?
Yeah, no,
We're taking the late night.
Yeah, because you've got to go work in the day.
Yeah, so we're taking late night on the day that I'm working, and then it's the late night train,
Yeah.
on the Friday. So basically all of Friday is going to be spent putting the mileage on the clock to get us from Heysham to Folkestone. So I'm hoping for a quiet journey on the ferry taking us to Heysham, so we can get a little bit of shut eye, and then we'll probably have to stage the mileage going down, but making sure that we get as far as we can before I need to take a break, so that we've got a possibility of oh, I meant to check if I've got the copper slip. We've got the possibility of getting there in plenty of time. Because it's our first trip ever on the Eurotunnel, is it?
Yeah.
Eurotunnel. I never remember what it's called. Eurotunnel. And because we're actually going into what they call the Schengen region, some of the rules have changed. You now have to do biometrics. So as well as presenting your passport, it takes your fingerprints and a photo of your face. So we've got all that to do.
Did the dogs have to go through anything?
And of course, at the Eurotunnel, the dogs have to be presented to the pet security sort of thing. I don't exactly know what you call it, but pet security. With the paperwork, have the codes on their microchips read to make sure it confirms with the paperwork that we'll be presenting. And these are nice and tight, that's for sure. Paperwork we'll be presenting for them. Yep, that's it. So, and that's all before we get onto the actual train thing. So we need to be there in a good amount of time to make sure that goes smoothly. Like I say, we're not sure what the queues are like for this biometrics. We're hearing different stories. We're hearing that now it's been established for a while, people are flying through. We've also heard that it's still queue upon queue upon queue, and we don't really want to be at the stage where we're sitting around or standing around for ages and potentially missing. Like, I don't know if as such you can miss your train, because I'm not because people do say something about if you get there early and everything's checked, you can get on an earlier one. So presumably if you're delayed actually going through their system, and you have to catch another one. Presumably that's allowed, because I should imagine you're just paying for being in the train rather than like the steam packet, which is our ferry company. You're actually paying to be on that boat at that time. I'm not 100% sure regards the channel tunnelly thing. Hopefully it is, as a lot of people seem to be saying. Basically, if there's room for you on that particular train, you jump on that particular train. If not, then you catch the next one. I'm gonna have to cut that into it. Oh my god, I need cutters. So hoping to save this one. I'm a miserly devil. I like to save my... that's it, it's coming.
The girls are getting all excited now. About going away.
Not quite sure if the boys have realised, or whether they thought they were just having a brief jolly last weekend. I'm not sure if they've realised that they're actually 100% coming. You know.
Because they don't seem as excited as the girls.
No. I'm wondering if they just thought that last weekend was a novelty. Especially it being so short.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a full weekend, it was basically an overnight and then away you go. Because we couldn't arrive until 3 o'clock, so it was basically something past 3 and then away for 10 o'clock the following morning. So perhaps it's not really registered with them, but it will the minute we load them up. Oh come on, I don't want to cut you. I want you to come off. It's trouble, I don't think I can get sockets that got inch drive on them very easily, especially not that size. I'm sure they are available, because you wouldn't be downgrading the...
Tiffany's had some new summer dresses and a bikini.
Yeah. I will not share my thoughts on that.
So she can put it on when she goes in the doggy paddling pool. What I've bought, what will help them cool down.
Oh, come on, we haven't got much further to go.
Summer dress, the skirt on it is a bit big, so we've got to do some alterations on the skirt. To make it a bit smaller for Tiffany.
And of course, still what calipers tend to do, it's pushed out again. So we will push it back in again. Oops.
Chrissy's going to be making a little wardrobe for them so that they can put the clothes in.
Youch.
All the dresses and the coats, what the girls have got.
This caliper's not been very helpful. We haven't got a sunny seas caliper. Come on, stop messing about. Doesn't help when you trying to stop it moving. That's moved. I didn't bring me disc wind back kit today. I didn't think I would need it because we weren't intending to. So it's got a bit of slip on the back of the pads. Because we weren't intending to rebuild it before we'd done the job. But unfortunately, because the old 1" to half adapter's decided I've done enough of a job, I'm going to snap on you. We haven't been able to do the job proper. It is not good. I didn't think I'd put him away. Something on the pen, 13 on that.
Tiffany's very lucky, really, that she's got a granddad who's a mechanic.
juice in there. You're putting them back in. Because at least then you know that it should go in smoothly. Start them both off. And then we can go up and down, and spread the load nice and evenly. To the bottom one. Get that closer. Right. Torque wrench. Torque settings. Come on. Fit cutter. Hub carrier. To strut. Torque. Torque specs. Shock absorber strut assembly. 115 to 125 Newton meters, so we'll set it 120. We can't go wrong. Batteries on, which I think, I can never remember this. It's too far down to see. I think they go positive down. We will soon find out. Obviously. 120 I said, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
120. Right, where did I put that socket? On. That's where we're going. So, get it on there. Make sure it's well. That's a buzz, so we know that one's where it should be. Just got to get the socket to come back off again. Give it a tap. Yes, you can guess them, but if you've got the torque settings and you've got yourself a decent torque wrench, it is always worth doing it right. And there we go, got a buzz, both down 120 Newton meters. Yep, even that confirms it. And we know we haven't touched those, so we don't need to do those because we have not turned those an iota, because we didn't get that far. So we know that's back as it should be, that's on. We will put the hub cover back on. Hub cover is back on. So brakes are back in place. Hub carrier to strut back in place. Steering rack, trapper end in place and torqued up. So we should now, apart from the nut that come off the old one, we should just have wheel studs. There should be another 2 somewhere.
There's one there.
No, that's the adapter for. Are they not on the step? Probably on the step.
I
They'd have took some of them off.
can't see.
Counter pinched on the step.
I'll try that all. It's a struggle for me trying to get all of this.
If you can't do it, don't do it.
See, with that thing.
Because I can do it in a minute.
Yeah. There he is. I think I'll stand up now if we've nearly finished here.
Yeah. Bit annoying, but it can't be helped.
We're having a smashed up kneecap.
Ah, that's why it's not working. That's better. Does help if we've actually got the holes in line. Again, that's the drawback of not having the retainers, but you can't have the retainers with ollie wheels.
It's hard for me to sit down and I have to wear this thing. You can see.
The drinks. Get on. No, I'm not ratcheting the wheel nuts up with the hack on. I'm purely just getting them into place. Again, we will up the torque up, and we will torque them.
Hate bees.
Right. Go on. Wheel nuts. 160 Newton meters. So naturally at the moment we are suspended. So we will just get them. Get round here to get a better feel of the angle. We only want to drag the tyre. So that's now the tyre dragging on the floor. What did I say again?
Was it 160?
Let's just double check. 160.
160. Way out, I was telling you.
Always worth double checking. And for some reason that socket's decided it wants to come part of there. So these are on 17s. So I will pull up a 17. And we will go into there, wake him up again. So 160.
Yeah.
So go on up. Yeah, again, this is good practice. To always set things to the torque that's specified. So that's that. That's that. That way. We know that the wheels are tight without being too tight, and tight without being too slack, because neither is good. Just go round again. Always give them a second round just to check. That's it. Take the puzzle nut off, get the old hobby cap on. When it decides it wants to actually sit. This thing with these, you have to get them pretty darn square, and then they pop on like that. So, unfortunately, today's events didn't go quite to plan. I've got two options here. Regards the big MF. We either see if there is a 41mm socket with an inch drive, or we get at least 2 inch to ½ inch adapters. I'll be looking on a certain website to see what is available. And if there's any possibility that it is, then my first phone call will be to Zenith in Douglas, because they tend to carry stuff that you wouldn't expect anyone else to carry. And if they've got a 41 with an inch drive, as long as it's not a king's ransom, we will go with. And that will then at least mean that we've got the maximum force that this can produce going through, rather than halving the amount of force to all intents and purposes and shearing the metal. So now it's a case of finish lowering the wheel down. I'm sure the trolley jack will be exceptionally happy that we are actually offloading it. And for now, I always take batteries out of anything like this, because when you pay good money, and this is served me well throughout my biggest part of my mechanicking career. I wouldn't say right from the word go, because I couldn't afford it when I first started out as a apprentice, but the minute I could afford stuff like this, then I don't mess about, I get it. Because if you've got decent tools, you know you're going to have them for a good while. If you've got stuff that's made out of chocolate, then it ain't going to last 5 minutes. So, thank you for watching. Please like, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to Tiffany's channel. Most of the content does tend to be Tiffany's travels, so hopefully you haven't been put off by a bit of mechanical work, even though this bit of mechanical work has basically been pull it apart, put it back together exactly the same apart from the track rod end. But it's part and parcel of an ownership of, I suppose, any vehicle, but particularly an older motorhome, where there are going to be things that need doing, and whether you're a competent mechanic yourself, or whether you're someone that has a modicum of an idea and still likes to have that little go, please don't do anything that you don't feel you've got the competence for. That's how mistakes and accidents happen, because you're either going to drop the vehicle on top of yourself at the very least, which can be extremely painful and potentially fatal, or if you're not sure what you're doing, there's a chance that something that you do, if you do it wrong, you could be risking life and limb, not only of yourself but anyone else in the vehicle and other road users around. We don't want wheels falling off, we don't want brakes failing, anything like that. So it's, if in doubt, get an expert to do it. But if you feel that you're relatively competent, you've got the right equipment to do the job, and you've watched something like this or any of the other YouTube channels, which there's plenty out there, quite often they are actual full-blown mechanics and they're just showing you what's involved. If you feel that you are competent enough, then yep, go ahead. This is by no means an order to go and do whatever you want. I certainly aren't responsible for what you decide to do or not decide to do. But like I say, we like to show everything to do with owning an older motorhome, including the maintenance. And we hope that it's been helpful. Bye for now.